Well, the House Committee on Natural Resources recently held a hearing on hunting and fishing access, and wouldn't you know, the conversation turned towards predators and specifically grizzly bear management. U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services Director Brian Nesvik, who previously served as director of the Wyoming Game and Fish Department, was asked by Wyoming Representative Harriet Hageman if the greater Yellowstone ecosystem grizzly bear should be delisted.
Based on some of my own personal experiences regarding the recovery efforts that have occurred over 50 years in the ecosystem that you described, largely on the backs of those folks who work, live, and recreate in areas where grizzly bears have recovered. And so I do believe recovery is clear, and now it's my job in this role to consider how we use the best available science to move forward with future policy around the grizzly bear, not only in the greater Yellowstone ecosystem, but also in the lower 48.
Director Nesvik said Wyoming's grizzly bear management plan meets the criteria for delisting, and that's why the Fish and Wildlife Service has twice tried to delist the bear.
Now we do find ourselves, though, where the courts have issued decisions that we need to sort through the complexities of and figure out what that means to inform policy for the future.
Lastly, Director Nesvik talked about how an overabundance of a federally protected predator can affect other species and people.
I think where most of the conflict largely occurs is in those areas outside of areas that are biologically and socially suitable. When grizzly bears find themselves in habitats, I've experienced this personally, where they're in and amongst cornfields or in developed areas where there are a lot of people. Grizzly bears nor people do very well. It's not good for the grizzly bear, and it's not good for people. And so that is certainly one of the consequences of a success story where recovery is achieved in the core recovery area, but now bears have moved beyond that into areas that are really not suitable because of human conflict.
Representative Hageman has introduced a bill that would legislatively delist the greater Yellowstone bear, and that bill was passed out of the House Natural Resources Committee last year, but has yet to be taken up by the full House. Well, thanks for joining us for today's Ag News. I'm Colter Brown, Northern Ag Network.